Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a very fun video. I'm a little disappointed because I thought the weather would be like sunnier to do filming today because I have quite a few things that I need to film. I have to film in advance for some vacation stuff that's going on, and you know, like Christmas season and Thanksgiving, and there's a lot of traveling going on. I really need to film a couple of things ahead, but today the weather is so gloomy. I thought it would be more naturally sunny. So I guess this may look a little bit weird. It doesn't look too bad, but I'm just gonna march ahead. We're gonna march forward and continue with my plans that were today. And that includes filming the very first thing I want to film, just because I will forget. If I wait any longer to talk about this, I will forget 100%. We are going to be talking about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It was my birthday this past weekend, so my husband and I went and saw the movie. He wasn't like super excited to go watch it because he doesn't like villain origin story kind of things. He was, and he's not like the biggest Hunger Games fan either, so he was going more just because I was dying to go. So I was really excited to go see it and see how the movie compared to the book, because I'm a fangirl of this book. I gave this 5 stars. I thought this was phenomenal. I thought this was so well written, and you can tell that the author's writing style has just gotten so much better over time. Like, The Hunger Games was awesome. The Hunger Games was so good, but this was just like a next level book. This was just so good. I feel like this is the perfect book for fans of Hunger Games when we were kids, because this felt grown up. This felt more depressing, more adult than the original series. Like, I feel like this one took some swings that the Hunger Games didn't, which is saying something because the Hunger Games is literally about children killing each other. But this took it to a new level. And I like that it did that because it needed to. Like, it's supposed to be the beginning of the Hunger Games, so you just have a lot of other things going on at the time. So I think this book just did a great job. So this review is going to be from the opinion of somebody who really liked this book. So I will put that out there right now. I really like this book. I feel like depending on if you like this book or not, your opinion will change about the movie, unless you haven't seen it at all. So my husband, I'll give you his review first. My husband has not read the book. He doesn't really remember anything about the Hunger Games besides like the general things. And he doesn't even think that he watched the last one. So he never read the books either. He probably only watched the first one and the second one, and he doesn't think he watched part 1 or part 2 of Mockingjay. So he went into this really not knowing much. He actually remembered what happened in this book because I did tell him when I was reading it in the first place, because I didn't think he'd ever read it. I didn't realize they were going to come out with a movie. I thought that was kind of past doing. I thought it was gonna be like the Divergent thing where people just like lost interest in the movies, so they just weren't gonna bother with another Hunger Games movie. So I did not see it coming that they were going to put out another movie. So he went into this movie just not really having much of an opinion, was not excited about it, and he ended up loving it. He was so much more emotional than I was during the movie. He was like so invested in what was going on. And it's hard to impress him sometimes, and he really liked it. He was very impressed with the movie. So that's his little review. I was very happy that he ended up liking it, and it wasn't just a miserable 2.5-hour experience for him, because that was the other thing. The movie is long. So he was just like, I have to sit through this for 2.5 hours. And I'm like, you're gonna do it and you're gonna like it. So yeah, he ended up really liking the movie. I'm very happy he liked it. Now on to my review of the movie. We're going to talk about non-spoilery things first. So I'm going to talk about my personal review of the movie, and then the things very generally what was different and what was similar, and then we're going to go into a spoiler section where we're going to talk about what I didn't like that they changed, because there were a couple things that I didn't like that they changed. There was nothing that I liked that they changed. I feel like they should have stuck to this a little bit more closely for a couple parts, but otherwise it was pretty close, spot on to the book. But anyway, that's going to be at the end, spoiler section, with more intense spoilers and stuff that they like, very minute details that they changed. My dog just came inside from being outside, and he is wild, so you might hear some of his like clicking feet if he's running around. He's just very excited right now. He's normally not this excited in the morning normally, because it's like 9 o'clock, which is very early for him still. He likes sleeping till like 10:30, 11 sometimes. I have to wake him up half the time. So I'm just watching him like pace back and forth. So I don't know, he's in a mood right now. I can hear him like in the other room now doing something. I don't know what he's doing. He just did a whole circle around the house. So yeah, if you hear huffing or little feet clicking, that's him. Okay, so general thoughts about the movie. And I love how I'm just holding the book. I'm just holding the book while I'm talking about the movie. So I loved it. I thought it was so good, so well done. There's definitely some things that I have like critiques about it, but overall, it was so good. The casting was amazing. And I have to say my favorite person is actually who I was most concerned about, just because there's a lot of drama right now on the internet over the female lead who's playing Lucy Gray. I cannot remember her name, and I feel like I couldn't say it when I attempted to try saying it earlier, but I'll put her name down at the bottom. But she was phenomenal. She was my favorite part of the movie. She was amazing. I could not believe how good she was and how perfectly she like played the character. And then Snow was great too. The guy who played Snow was also phenomenal. And as always, Hunter Schafer. I'm never gonna forget Hunter Schafer's name because I'm a huge Euphoria fan. And I wish that Hunter Schafer had been in the movie more. I get why you couldn't, but as Tigress, amazing. Amazing. I also have to say wardrobe was fantastic. The special effects were fantastic. Just everything was so good, and it went for maximum impact. Like, it really took the most important parts of the book and made sure they were in there. Now, there were a couple of rearrangement things that happened towards the end of the book, which I was not a big fan of, and I even noticed it when it was happening. I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. That's not right. And I do think it hurt the impact of the ending, which is supposed to be like the most impactful part. So I will talk about that in spoilers. So that was like my biggest qualm with it, was the change in the ending. It wasn't a big thing, but I think it definitely took away from the overall effect of it. But again, overall, the casting was so good. It was so good. And I can't get over it. I literally came home and I rewatched the first Hunger Games, and I was just like, so I'm back in my Hunger Games era, and then today I plan to watch the second one and part 1 and 2 of Mockingjay, especially when my husband gets home because he hasn't seen it. So I'm like, let's watch it. And I put it on and he was like, really? You want to put me through more emotional stress right now? So that was amazing. So talking about casting, there was an amazing casting choice. And this is probably what really affected my husband. So they cast an actual child with Down syndrome to play a tribute. And it was, if I had known that, I don't know if I would have had my husband go, because his sister has a mental handicap. It's not Down syndrome, but it's very similar. And he got very emotional, very, very emotional while seeing that. But I think it was so smart because it shows that no one is safe. Like, no one is safe. It's what the first Hunger Games did really well with having Rue, the book and the movie, having Rue as this little kid. She was not immune to the reaping. And they definitely pushed that further in this new movie by casting a little girl with Down syndrome, which I also think is amazing, because you're seeing that more in movies where casting directors are realizing that people with Down syndrome can act and do everything else that normal people do, basically. I thought it was just so cool to see that in such a huge blockbuster, supposedly, movie. And you see her quite often. So I thought that was so good. I was so excited to see that. It definitely was incredibly emotional, but they did treat it with a sensitivity that I appreciated. So again, we'll get into that in spoilers, but it wasn't, I was very concerned about how they were going to treat the death of that tribute, but I think it was done in a very sensitive manner that it would not traumatize a lot of people, because again, my husband was on the edge of his seat. He was very, very concerned about that. And he even said, he's like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that was good. That's a little bit of a trigger warning, just in case that is something that does set you off. It definitely sets my husband off, and he was okay. Like, he didn't love it, obviously, but he was very happy that they cast somebody with actual Down syndrome, and he was okay with what happened. And I think that's all pretty much I want to say about casting, just because it is a blockbuster cast of people. It's crazy how many people they had in this movie that I recognized, and then some people that I didn't recognize, like Snow. I actually did not know the actor that played Snow, but phenomenal, was so good. But I mean, they had some amazing people in there. They had some amazing people in there. So yeah, I feel like the casting list can just speak for itself. I don't really need to. Something that unfortunately the movie could not encapsulate as well as the book, and this is often what happens when you change a book to a movie, there's always something missing, and there is a huge part of the book missing because it's literally impossible. And I think that the actor who played Snow did a really good job of trying to get this across, but it is really hard without having an inner monologue. Most of the book of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is basically Snow's inner monologue, and you can see his paranoia, his selfishness, his just everything bad about him is just front and center to you. And he's whiny, and he's such a frustrating character, and that was very much missing from the movie. Like, you definitely saw like his selfishness at some points, and you saw the way he was reacting to situations, but you didn't get the constant paranoia and the constant whininess and the constant, like, I hate the idea of being even remotely uncomfortable or things not going my way. You didn't get that constantly. So I definitely see why some people are kind of like Team Snow in this movie. This is apparently a thing. This is apparently a thing online where people are obsessed with Snow from the movie. And I'm just like, if you read the book, you wouldn't be. Like, there's no way you could like him reading the book. So it is, and he definitely felt more, it definitely felt like the script, you wanted to feel bad for him. And there are definitely parts in the book where you do feel bad for him. And when he does make good decisions, you're like, yay, yay. But there's so many bad things in the book to offset anything good he does. And he even himself in the book ruins pretty much anything good he does through his inner monologue of like, oh, well, I did this because of this reason, and I feel like I should be applauded for this. That's kind of like who he is. Everything is about himself. And that was not as apparent, it wasn't as evident in the movie because it's just too hard. Like, you don't have someone constantly narrating his thoughts to the audience. So Snow, the actor who played Snow, had a very difficult job on his hands, and I think he did with it as best he could, but he definitely came off as more sympathetic, as I believe that the character should have, which is now why we have some fangirlies out there who are Team Snow for some reason. So that I don't like that. I don't like that there's so many big fans of him. It's very strange. So that is one of my biggest qualms, but again, movie can't really do that much about that. And that's pretty much all that I can talk about without talking about spoilers, because everything from here on out is kind of scene changes and order of operations things going on. So we're gonna go right into the spoiler section of the movie and the book. So if you do not want to hear any of that, if you don't, the thing is, nothing I'm going to talk about the movie, there's nothing different in the movie than the book. Like, there's no extra surprises in the movie. They just changed the way things happened, basically. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you've read the book, then you know everything that happened in the movie. There's nothing extra going on, nothing like that. So if you want to hear about it but you think you're gonna get spoiled from the movie, it's really just if you don't want to know the order of operations of things. So let's get right into the spoilers and some of the things that I wish they hadn't changed in the movie. Okay, so we are first going to talk about, like I said, his inner monologue. The inner monologue is so important in this book because it just brings forward just what a psychopath this guy is. And I say that, like, honestly, he doesn't come off as a psychopath for most of the book, and then he starts downward spiraling, but it's because his paranoia from the beginning just continues to get the best of him. And I feel like the best example in the book of his inner monologue and his paranoia getting to him is the constant references to Lucy Gray's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. So Lucy Gray was sent into the reaping because her ex-boyfriend was sleeping with the mayor's daughter. Mayor's daughter was jealous, didn't like it, and had Lucy Gray basically thrown into the reaping. And so Snow, especially when he gets moved to District 12 towards the end of the book, is so paranoid about this guy, like constantly talking about him, constantly questioning if Lucy still has feelings for him. It is, and they had a scene in the movie where Snow punches the ex-boyfriend when the ex-boyfriend is trying to like grab at her, but that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it in the movie in regards to the ex-boyfriend. And I think he does ask like one time, like, do you still have feelings for him? And she said no, and it was kind of brushed off. So it really was not the paranoid hole of depravity that Snow goes down in the book. Like, he becomes obsessed with the idea that, like, there is a whole, like, 4 pages while she's singing a song, like, that he's like, oh, is this about Billy? She's trying to meet with Billy. And it's just like, girl, run. There are so many red flags. He just did not exhibit enough red flags in the movie, because again, you're not hearing that monologue. And then his paranoia again was shown again in his inner monologue later, because when he's kind of convincing himself to kill Lucy at the very end, he uses, one of the reasons he uses is that she's ruthless, she's gonna kill me, she's out to get me, and this and this and this, and she killed this guy, and she killed this person in the arena. One she didn't even kill. It was she stuck by him while he took his last breaths, because it was the guy who had rabies who was kind of coming after her. Snow and Snow's buddy in the academy were the ones who actually killed him, like sending in water to throw him off balance and he fell. Lucy didn't kill him, and so Snow has like changed the narrative at the end that she's this ruthless killer, when in reality she was holding his hand while he died. She didn't have anything to do with his death. She never would have killed him. And then she accidentally killed somebody else with rat poison that Snow gave her, and Snow was like, she killed that person too, that was ruthless, but it was an accident. It was meant for somebody else, and that person just happened to drink from it. So you don't get that insane inner monologue at the end of the book where you're like, he is completely unhinged. Completely unhinged. I think in the movie, because you don't have that, he definitely he did a good job of showing how crazy he was. Like, he had this moment where he absolutely just transformed into this psychopath when he was in the woods, but it almost seems like a surprise because you don't have that inner monologue through most of the movie. You're like, oh, well, why is he suddenly upset? Like, you're not getting all the things that have built up over the entire book, over the entire movie. You're just not getting it. You're not seeing all the crazy stuff that he's been thinking about and been building up in his head. When he finally gets to killing Lucy, it just unleashes. Absolutely unleashes. And it makes sense in the book. You're like, yep, was waiting for it, was waiting for that. Well, in the movie, there was still a chance that he was a good guy. Like, there was like a small chance that he was gonna be okay. And then one of the other things is the death of Sejanus. His bestie that is one of the most heartbreaking moments, and really got my husband, is when Snow records Sejanus talking about helping the rebels and sends it to the Capitol, and Sejanus ends up dead because of it. There was literally an entire section of his inner monologue saying like that it was basically forced upon him to kill Sejanus. And I think the actor who played Snow did a decent job of portraying that, but it did not hit home as hard as reading this crazy inner monologue by Snow about how he had no choice. What choice did you have? What choice? No choice. Sejanus had been bent on self-destruction, and Coriolanus had been swept along in his wake only to be deposited at the foot of the hanging tree himself. He tried to think rationally about it. Without him, Sejanus would have died in the arena, prey to the pack of tributes who had tried to kill them as they fled. Technically, Coriolanus had given him a few more weeks of life and a second chance, an opportunity to mend his ways. But he couldn't, didn't care to. He was what he was. Maybe the wilderness would have been best for him. Poor Sejanus, poor, sensitive, foolish, dead Sejanus. So you're not getting stuff like that in the movie. You're just seeing Snow be really upset, which he was. Like, he was in the book really upset, but the entire time he's upset, he is basically bailing himself out with the biggest pail possible. His own brain is just refusing to take any type of responsibility, because even he just has to say, I was saving my own butt. That's all he has to say. He doesn't need to say all these things like, I gave him extra weeks of life, I gave him this. And it's just like, oh man. Like, you are in the head of someone who is a total narcissist, totally not aware of anything that they are doing. And that is a big portion of what was missing from the movies. And he has more outbursts. That's the other thing that I noticed in the book. He has a lot more moments of like rage. Like, it's not just when he killed the tribute when he was trying to escape. There's other things like right here, he has like this crazy outbreak where he's like throwing a temper tantrum. He has random temper tantrum. Why is that word so hard to say? He has random temper tantrums throughout the book, but you don't really see that in the movie. He is much more cool, calm, collected in the movie. When I saw him more in this as more whiny and unpredictable, a bit all over the place like he does. And again, it's the paranoia that he experiences through the entire book. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about the inner monologue. However, the biggest part that I wanted to talk about was the order of events that happen at the end of the book. So if you read the book, I had to go back and double check that I wasn't imagining things, but in the book, Coriolanus is just over it. That is another thing. He does not like being in District 12. There are certain things he likes, Lucy Gray being the biggest one, and being around Sejanus sometimes, because he gets annoyed at Sejanus all the time. Like, that's another thing. They didn't put across how annoyed he is half the time with Sejanus. So that's why it wasn't as big of a surprise when he basically turned him in. So, in the book, Coriolanus does get scared because he's close to Sejanus and he's afraid that Sejanus is going to get in trouble and he's going to name Snow, and Sejanus' dad will just bail him out again, but Snow will be basically left taking the downfall. So he ends up turning him in, and obviously, and this is all after the gun incident where Coriolanus kills the mayor's daughter, and then they also kill the ex-boyfriend of Lucy Gray. And there's a small group of people who know. Sejanus knows, Snow knows, Lucy Gray knows, and then some random person who's part of the rebellion. And so Snow's paranoia ratchets up because there is DNA in this world. There is DNA in this world, so he's terrified they're gonna find the guns, find out he's the one who actually killed the mayor's daughter, and then he's gonna hang. So he's just constantly freaking out, just at this point, constantly. But at this point, he had also taken the officer's exam. This is a big difference in the movie. It seems small, but it's a big difference because of the implications of it. So in the book, Coriolanus Snow decides to take the officer's exam to get out of District 12 himself. He makes that decision. In the movie, it is decided for him. The person in charge basically pulls him in and he's like, we saw your test scores and all this stuff. It is implied that he was chosen out of basically a pile. He didn't ask for it, because he even seems like, he seems reticent about taking the position in 2 for a couple minutes, and the guy has to go, oh, well, this isn't an option, this is a command. That is not how it is in the book. He takes the exam on his own to get out of 12. He made that decision himself, which is a huge difference, because again, it's him showing a lack of actual caring for Lucy, because Lucy can't come with him. That he knows that. He tries to convince himself otherwise, but he 100% knows that if he gets picked, and he probably will because he's one of the smartest people there, is he will be leaving 12 without her. He is already choosing himself over a life with her. So that is already kind of there. That's already set up. Now, a big other difference is this happens earlier in the book, basically earlier in part 2, because it's basically the Hunger Games part 1 and then him in District 12 is part 2. So that happens earlier with him deciding to take this test, and everything between him taking the test and him being picked, everything else happens. Like, he doesn't get told about getting the position in District 2 until after he kills the people, after he kills the mayor's daughter, after he tells Lucy that he's going to run away with her. That already turning in Sejanus. So that's the thing. This is a huge difference. He has no motivation to turn in Sejanus and kill people other than he doesn't want to get caught himself. In the movie, he's told about his assignment to District 2 before all of this stuff happens. So it gives him like reasoning that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my position in 2 and I'm gonna get hanged if I don't cover everything up. And the only reason he agrees to run away with Lucy is because of the guns. He already like kind of wants to go to 2, but he's given like a couple weeks to know that he's going to 2, etc. And he's come to terms with he's not gonna go. So that's like such a big difference, because in the movie it gives him like a reason, like, oh my gosh, my whole life is going to be ruined. While in the book, he is doing it solely because he doesn't want to get caught. It's not even for his position going to 2 because it didn't exist at this point. So I thought that was a huge distinction, especially when it comes to the Lucy Gray part, because in the book, it is very clear that he had no intention of running away if not for the gun. In the book, it made it very clear, very, very, very clear. The only reason he was not going to 2 was because of the guns, not because of Lucy. It was very clear. Like, he literally gets told of the assignment the morning he's leaving. So he's told, hey, you passed the test that you took and you're going to District 2. And then he goes and meets Lucy, and the time basically from the point that he is told that he got the District 2 job to where he kills Lucy, because we don't technically know still, he is obsessing with the fact that he doesn't want to be here. He hates this. He doesn't love her enough. There's literally lines about, hey, sorry, Lucy, I like my job and I like comfort more than you, so that's not gonna go over well. And it's like, so they made it so obvious in the book that if he had any other option, he would pick to go to District 2. In the movie, he is told about District 2 before the gun incident. So I'm trying to make sure, I'm pretty sure that's accurate, because that is what seems to be his motivator when he kills the mayor's daughter. So he's told before, and he seems upset about it. He's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, and I'm upset about it. And he meets with Lucy, and he seems to be like really debating if he wants to go or not. And that was never the case in the book. It wasn't even a moment where he was like, I want to stay here with her over going to 2 if the guns weren't involved. Because the second he finds those guns in the cabin, he's done. Like, he is out. He is like, I'm going to 2. I am going to 2. And so that's why in the book, it makes so much more sense when he swaps between, like, when he finally decides, like, I'm gonna kill Lucy now. It makes so much more sense, because in the movie, he legitimately seems like he really wants to go with her, and the 2 be damned, basically. District 2 be damned, that job, I don't care about it as much. Yeah, I kind of wish we were going there together, but this is better for me. That's why I was so confused at the end, because I was like, are they just gonna sail off into the sunset? So when his swap happened in the movie, it wasn't 100% believable. And that's not on the actor, because the actor did a really, really good job. That is more on the order of events, in my opinion. So that was probably the most frustrating thing. And again, the inner monologue during all this is happening definitely helped as well. So I think the ending came as a surprise to some people who did not read the book and did not like know anything about Snow. Like, if you went into this blind, you don't know anything about the Hunger Games, it would be blindsiding. While reading the book, if you read this separately, you have know nothing about the Hunger Games, you'd be like, red flag, red flag, red flag, girl, run, red flag, constantly. So I think that was the biggest issue. And again, I don't know why they changed the order of events. I don't know if they thought it would make him look worse, but it didn't. It did not make him look worse. It's almost like they wanted to make him look better in the movie, and I don't know why you would do that, because that is not the point of this. The point is that he is this like snivelly, whiny little brat, and that's who he is. And I think they did a disservice changing that a little bit, because it just made him, I feel like they wanted to make him more relatable, but it just didn't work. It didn't work. It made you more just feel bad for him, and you should not feel bad for him at all. Like, you should feel bad about that he was a kid when the war started, but everything else that he did as an adult, he had the decision to. He made those decisions himself. So you should not feel bad for him once he was an adult. Feel bad for his childhood and what he had to go through and his sister. But other than that, he made his choices about things. So yeah, that is kind of my thoughts about it. I still would give the movie 5 out of 5. I really, really liked the movie. It was just that little bit at the end. So maybe like a 4.5 out of 5. I think they should have kept the order of events the same as they happened in the book. Oh, the other thing that happened. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about this. The other thing that I was not a fan of, but they did it for, I'm pretty sure, big screen reasons. Because again, I was confused about this. So when they actually put the tributes into this spoiler discussion really is for people who have read this because I'm not explaining anything. So when they put the tributes into the arena that's just been bombed, there's places to hide. And so when they showed that in the movie, I was like, okay, I remember this. Everyone immediately goes and hides. No, in the movie that did not happen. The opening of putting the tributes in the arena was horrifying. Like, they went at each other and fought, and some were killed, etc. That is not what happened in the book. These kids are smart in the, like, they knew to hide. They instantly, like, almost nobody fought at the beginning. No one fought for hours and hours and hours. That was the point, is it wasn't exciting because they're not forcing them to fight each other. So they just literally went and hide. And that is not what happened in the movie. And I did not like that change. I felt like that was purely done for a spectacle for the audience. And I think that change was the most offensive out of all of the changes, because that just felt like they were pandering. And I did not like that. I think they should have kept it the same, where the tributes were basically released and they ran off and hid. That is more accurate to what they would actually do, because they're not trained to fight. None of them are trained to fight. This is the beginning of the Hunger Games. They're all poor district kids. Even 2 and 3 are poor district kids. Yeah, they're better off than like 8 and 12, but they're still not born to fight. That's not how that works. So the fact that they turned this into a melee at the beginning was not impressed. They did it for an effect. They wanted to show Lucy caring for the very sick kid that she came in with, but just wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. You didn't need that. They just basically wanted to give Lucy Gray's character an extra scene of showing her doing things. So that I was very upset about that one. That was not it. That was not it. That felt purely for spectators' sake, nothing for the actual plot. I was not happy about that. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I want to talk about. Again, I know it sounds like I didn't like the movie, but I loved it. I loved it. It was just those couple of things. So yeah, I'm going to say about a 4.5 for the movie. This is still a 5 out of 5. I love this book. If you're not a fan of the book, I don't know if you'll like the movie either, because it's so accurate to the book, besides those couple of things that I mentioned, that if you just didn't like it because of the plot, you're probably not going to like the movie either. However, a lot of people didn't like the book because of the second half where he's in the district for so long. A lot of people thought it was really boring. That was shrunk down. I will say that. Most of the movie was the Hunger Games and getting to know Snow and Lucy at the beginning, and the Hunger Games scene went on for a very long time. So they did shrink down the back half of the movie, which in my opinion was smart. It did lose you a lot of seeing Snow delve into that paranoia. But again, because you don't have the inner monologue, there's not much you can show other than day-to-day life, because that's pretty much what the back half of the book was just showing his descent. And you can't do that in the movie. It gets too boring. You'd have to add another hour onto the movie, and that's, no. Absolutely not. Anyway, I really, really enjoyed it. I would 1000% go watch it again. It was that good. It was so entertaining. I was never once bored. It felt like 2.5 hours passed like that. I was shocked. I thought I was going to be like staring at the ceiling, looking around, because my attention span is not great for that long. But I was fully enraptured the entire movie. Very impressed. Oh, man, I keep forgetting things. I was going to talk about the Down syndrome girl's death. What is her name? Wovie? Their name's Wovie. So they did a really good job with this. They did a really, really good job with this. Originally in the book, the death of that girl is the accidental poisoning. So she is the tribute who is accidentally poisoned. I don't know if she's supposed to have Down syndrome in the book. I didn't read that into the book. I don't know if that was just a casting decision. But in the book, she is accidentally poisoned by Lucy Gray. That is not how she dies in the movie. The girl who dies by poisoning accidental is the sick girl. So in the book, she just dies. She's got tuberculosis. She just lays down and dies. In the movie, that's the girl who drinks the rat poison water and dies that way. Now, the Down syndrome girl, again, we were very concerned about her death because if that's not how she died, like, what were they gonna do? Because that wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. But instead, when they dropped, so she was still alive through to the snake portion of it, when they drop all the colorful snakes that kill you basically on impact. They drop the snakes, and she basically is just engulfed immediately. Like, she doesn't have to be scared, nothing like that. She does. This is really sad though. She walks towards it and asks, "Is it over yet?" And I'm just like, my husband was sobbing at that part. But she's quickly killed. Like, it's not a gruesome, she's like covered completely. You don't see her actually die. You just see her form kind of fall over in the snakes. So I was like, okay, that could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. So again, if you're triggered by that kind of stuff, that's her death, if you wanted to know. But so it wasn't like, my husband was like, it could have been worse. It really could have been worse. So I'm glad they did it the way that they did it. And yeah, it still was a little traumatizing. My husband was still like a little at the end of the movie, but again, we were just kind of really happy that Down syndrome kids and actors are getting parts in movies that otherwise would not go to them. So that's really cool. Now, that is everything that I have to say about the movie. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, 4.5 for the movie, 5 for the book. I really, really enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was really good. So I would definitely try it out if you were kind of on the fence. I would definitely go check it out. So yeah, that's everything that I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the book and the movie if you went to go see it. Let me know down below if you're going to go see it, if you've already seen it, if you read the book, etc. Things, kind of your opinions about the differences maybe, or just pretty much anything about them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.